Hey YouTube, it's AI Enigma here. So this is our ninth session in Road to CAT VARC Explain series. This would be a society and culture based RC. So without wasting any time, let's get on to it. American culture is often defined by profound and persistent tension between two of its foundational yet conflicting ideals, rugged individualism and communitarianism. So we are saying American culture is, you can say, deeply, you can say, influenced and profoundly, you can say, influenced by two of his ideals. There is conflict and tension between these two ideals. This is rugged individualism and communitarianism. The ethos or the ethics of the rugged individual is deeply woven into the national mythology. The self reliant pioneer, the bootstrapping entrepreneur, the lone hero who forges their own destiny independent of societal constraints. So it says that the ethos, or you can say the ethics of, you can say, rugged individualism are deeply woven into the national mythology. Inside the deep mythology, this is being specifically embedded or instilled in this mentality. It specifically talks about a self-reliant pioneer. So you can say the starter of something who is self-reliant. He is not dependent of anything. The bootstrapping entrepreneur, who manages everything by himself. The lone hero who forges their own destiny independent of societal constraints. So these are very positive, you can say, adjectives, which says that a person who is self-reliant, who is not dependent on everything else, and he forges his own path. That is the kind of thing which is associated with rugged individualism. This ideal champions personal liberty. So what it does, it champions personal liberty, freedom, economic self-interest, and a deep-seated skepticism towards collective control or dependency. It is a philosophy that lionizes individual achievements and views society as an arena for competition among autonomous actors. Success in this framework is personal victory and failure a personal feeling. So what this specifically means, that this philosophy or this ideal, this is rugged individualism, this champions personal liberty, which means like my freedom is the best, like the most paramount thing that is really important. It is the most important thing. It prioritizes economic self-interest. Like my self-interest is the one thing which is really important, and a deep-seated skepticism towards collective control or dependency, which means these persons who are under this, you can say, ideology, who believe this ideology, who are influenced by this ideology, they value freedom, they value self-interest, they value liberty, and they have a deep skepticism and doubt towards collective control or dependency. They don't want to be controlled. And this is a philosophy that actually lionizes individuals' achievements, which means if you are achieving something while believing this, that you are a lion, like it actually applauds those people and views society as an arena for competition. And in this ideology, you actually view society as a competition. Everyone is your competition. Everyone is not going to cooperate with you. Everyone is your competition among autonomous actors, and success in this framework is a personal victory. In this philosophy, if you are succeeding, that it's your personal victory, and if you are not succeeding, then it's a personal failure. It's all on you, because it lionizes individuality, freedom, and liberty. That's the concept of rugged individualism. Simultaneously, however, a powerful communitarian impulse has always coexisted, albeit often in the shadow of its individual counterpart. So, author is saying that it's not always about rugged individualism. Communitarianism has also been there. You can say in the shadow of individualistic. You can say rugged individualism. This tradition visible in the town hall meetings of colonial New England and the civic association described by Alexis de Tocqueville and the grassroots social movements that have defined American history emphasizes the importance of community bonds, mutual responsibility, and the pursuit of a common good. So you can say this has been viewed traditionally in different places, which has been mentioned here. You can say town hall meetings of colonial New England, civic associations, and grassroots social movements. This has been always been there, which has been mentioned in tradition as well, and they have defined American history. It emphasized the importance. What communitarianism emphasized? It emphasized the importance of community bonds. The community bonds are really important. Mutual responsibility and the pursuit of a common good. We want to pursue something common for everyone. That is what communitarianism symbolizes. It views society not as a mere collection of individuals, but as an interconnected web of relationship and obligations. So rather than viewing, on the one hand, when individualism says that everyone is alone, everyone is our competition, communitarianism views everyone as, you can say, harmony or cooperation. They view that this person is somebody who I can help out. That is kind of thinking that I am getting from this passage. In this view, liberty is not just freedom from interference, but freedom to participate in a meaningful collective life. So the idea of freedom is also different in communitarianism as well. In communitarianism, freedom is not just doing what you want, but doing something which is collectively useful in a meaningful collective life. That is, uh, the use of freedom is here. This impulse asserts that true flourishing is contingent upon the health of community and that some goals can only be achieved through cooperative rather than competitive action. So, communitarianism believes that you can say if you want to achieve something, it's not always healthy to look at others as competition, and there are some goals which can be only be achieved if you're not looking others as a competition but as cooperative action. If you take cooperative action rather than everything as a competitive action. This fundamental dichotomy is not a historical artifact but an ongoing dynamic struggle that animates much of American political and social life. Author says that this is not ancient history. This is still going on right now, and it shapes the political and social life of American politics. Debates over healthcare, taxation, social safety nets, and civic responsibility are rarely just arguments about policy specifics. They are contemporary manifestation of this deep unresolved conflict. Then author goes on to say that there are debates over healthcare, over taxation, over social safety nets, and civic responsibility as well. But they are not just arguments. They highlight this deep conflicting issue which is unresolved for quite a bit of generation. They are arguments about whether the individual's right to be left alone outweighs the community's responsibility to care for its member, and whether the nation is fundamentally a collection of 330 million people, separate ventures, or a single shared enterprise. So the arguments that have been going on, this actually you can say weighs whether it's better to leave an individual alone, whether 330 million people are a lone entrepreneur, or you can say a lone entrepreneur, or whether they have the responsibility, or the nation has the responsibility to view them as a member of a collectively big enterprise. The cultural landscape is thus a perpetual negotiation between these two poles, with neither ever achieving complete or permanent dominance. And we can say the culture of the American soil is, you can say, there's a perpetual perpetual negotiation, never ending negotiation between these two sides, and in which neither is as giving any edge, there is no dominance of only one side over the other. That's a specific passage. It's a very short passage, so let's look at the questions. Which of the following can be most logically inferred from the passage? So we have to look for an inference, so it should not be stated, and something which can be inferred. So we need something which is positive, okay, which can be inferred. The author believes that the communitarian impulse will eventually and permanently triumph over rugged individualism in the American culture. This is blatantly wrong option. The author is specifically stated at the end option itself that the cultural landscape is thus a perpetual negotiation between these two poles, with neither ever achieving complete or permanent dominance. So you cannot say that the communitarianism will actually win over rugged individualism. So this is specifically not true. The historical narrative of the self-reliant pioneer is presented by the author as a historically accurate and unbiased account of American westward expansion. The problem is this: we are not so sure whether it is historical accurate or unbiased account, and it is specifically I'm not so sure whether the use of self-reliant pioneer by the author is used for highlighting American westward expansion. I'm not specifically sure whether I can infer this, because there is no mention of American westward expansion. So this is wrong. According to the author, a political debate in America focuses solely on the statistical efficiency of a policy without touching on themes of a personal liberty or collective responsibility would be an anomaly. Exactly right. I can infer that because we have two sides. There is individualism and there is communitarianism, and two sides are having intense debate, but there is no solution. And you can say it's been also been mentioned in here as well. If you look at this. This fundamental dichotomy is not a historical artifact but an ongoing dynamic struggle that animates much of the American political and social life. And if it's animate much of the American political and social life, so any debate which is not touching this topic would be, you can say, incomplete or would be an anomaly. So this might be the answer. Then D option, the communitarianism tradition in America emerged primarily in response to the excesses of modern individualism. There is no mention that communitarian tradition arose due to the responses to the excessive modern individualism. There is no mention here, so definitely C is the correct option. A proposed piece of legislation would create a mandatory national service program requiring all young adults to spend 1 year working in the civic or military roles to foster a sense of shared purpose and mutual obligation. Based on the passage, this proposal would most directly appeal to the values of. So we are actually bonding, isn't it? Like individuals have given the responsibility to work militarily, and you can say for military itself. So this is not individualism. You are actually having control over the people, isn't it? And this is something that individualism will hate, and probably communitarianism, the people who follow communitarianism, would love.
A rugged individualism by providing individuals with opportunity to prove their self-reliance. This is definitely wrong. They would not be. This would be not be appealing to individualism. American communitarianism by emphasizing mutual obligation and the pursuit of a common good. Yes, this is exactly right. So let's check 3 and 4 as well. Both ideas equally. It would not aid both ideas equally. Neither ideal, as it represents an unprecedented form of government control. This is also not right. It would appeal to communitarianism as well. So the answer to the second question is B option itself. Now on to the last question. There are only 3 questions here. Based on the paragraph, it cannot be said, this is negative, that the ethos of rugged individualism is negative, inconsistent, that is negative, with the belief that. So what we have is negative plus negative plus negative. So negative becomes positive, positive plus negative, which means negative. So we need something which is negative. So if I rewrite this whole question, it would be based on the paragraph, ethos of rugged individualism is negative with the belief that. So we need individualism is not going to be sync in all those 4 options. In which option individualism is not in sync or is negative, that is something that we have to check. Personal liberty is a paramount virtue. Individualism will definitely agree with this, that personal liberty is a paramount virtue. So this is not our answer. We have to look for negative as well. That's something that individualism does not agree with. Society is primarily a cooperative venture. This is something that individualism will not agree with. It doesn't view society as a cooperative venture. Individualism achievement should be lionized. Yes, it will view as you can say individualism will be synced with this. An individual is the primary author of their own fate. Yes, individualism will sync with this as well. So B is the only option which is not with sync in the passage, and hence it is the answer to this question. So it was a fairly easy passage. Questions were, you can say, moderate. They were not too difficult. This question is also considered, I would consider this a moderate question because it can be confusing, but if you are following the notation of positive, negative and positive, it would be fairly easy for you to, you can say, make this question and into a easier one. So that's all for this RC, and we'll be solving much more RCs in the future. So stay tuned and yeah, keep learning.